Okay, fingers crossed this works and there's people here. Hopefully, this will work. So I'm just gonna check that the live stream actually comes on in about 20 seconds because there's about 20-second delay, and then we can get right to it. Hopefully it shows up. Fingers crossed. All the waiting, the suspense. It's getting to me. Oh yes, okay. Okay. We're here, we're live, it works. Right, so um gone live now, so hopefully people can see that live stream and will join. I'm just going to wait for a moment just in case anyone else wants to join. But if you are joining, hope you having a great day. Yeah, hope your Monday's gone well for yourselves. And I know a very quick turnaround from the other day. I did the other live stream about week 2, so I guess just to preface, this is all about week 3 of the Age of Revelation. So the books are Unbreakable X-Men, Rogue Storm, Iron and Frost, and Sinister's 6. So there's the 4 books I'm going to be talking about in this live stream. I'll probably do another one to do last week, which would be week 4, and then we should be all caught up with week 5, which is this week, at some point, and then we'll just stick to one live stream a week instead of like 3. So I was just doing this because I wanted to catch up. This has been something I wanted to do for ages, so yes. Just checking that it's all working. Brilliant. Yeah. Right. Okay. So with that, haven't got any messages in the chat yet, which is which is fine, which is all good. But I'm going to start. Gonna start now. But if you have any messages, if you have any things you want to share, any questions or anything like that, just let me know. Say hi at least so I know that they hear know that you hear. It's much easier to do a live stream when I'm actually talking to people, and not just talking to myself. But I might as well, just get right into it, because I think the live stream is actually working this time, which is brilliant because last time it was rough for the first 15 minutes. Yeah, much like Wolverine's face in the 90s, it was rough. Oh my god, hi Lou. How are you doing today? Hope you're well. But yeah, so I'm gonna get right to it. Oh, and I guess make sure if you're in the chat, make sure you like it. You're liking the chat and I guess sharing it if you want to people, if you want other people to join in. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna jump right into it. And also, if there's any like technical things where you can't hear me anymore, or I don't know, the screen goes blank, let me know so then I can fix it out. Okay, so of course, with the start, got the spoiler sign up, so everyone knows that there are spoilers because we'll be going through them. So the first book we're going to be talking about today, and obviously Age of Revelation, 10 years in the future, there's now a mutant homeland, and all these different X-Men are in different places. So the first book of this week was, let me just get up, Unbreakable X-Men, right? So this is Unbreakable X-Men by Gail Simone and Lucas Werneck. Now, Gail Simone obviously has been writing the main Uncanny X-Men book, so it sort of is a continuation of that a bit. Lucas Werneck has been drawing Storm, but he's done this, and I'm just a big fan of Lucas Werneck, right? His art is just chef's kiss a lot of the time. So, I've not been the biggest fan of Uncanny X-Men though, so I was a bit unsure about this book going into it, but essentially, as we learn, um, Galbert in his wife's colours, in her memory, spoilers. So about 7 years into the future, for some reason, Galactus, of all people, decides to turn up decides to turn up and come for Haven, which is the place where the Young X-Men live. And it's essentially because there's a mutant there's like a demonic force underneath the ground that's like got all of the people that have done wrong and like been racist or bigoted against people. The panels are coming out fine, but well, thank you, Luke. That's good. That's good. I'm glad everything's working this time. So basically, there's like a demonic, not a demonic, there's like a very vengeful spirit underneath the ground. Okay, and they're holding all these like other evil spirits underground. And for some reason, Galactus wants to come for that, maybe, potentially, something like that. Or maybe Galactus wants a herald. It's new herald. It's not too clear, okay, but it's obviously Galactus is on Earth and it's coming for them, and so they obviously have to fight Galactus. But what do you do to fight Galactus? Well, Rogue decides she's going to sacrifice herself and absorb Galactus, which is, a lot. Galactus isn't you just your average Joe. He's a very big guy, like a super guy, if you will. Um, so she absorbs him, and that decides that, and so she's not gonna become like she's not becoming Rogue Galactus or anything like that. She actually just becomes a giant statue in Galactus's colors, and she's been there ever since. Um, So that's sad. So basically, Rogue is dead. Okay, so R.I.P. Rogue. Um, we loved you. We cherished you. Um, you gone now though, so that's a bit sad. But anyway, um, yeah. So at this point, so 7 years in, Rogue has passed away, and we see here as well that like obviously loads of people come to like mourn her death. We've got Cyclops, we've got Jubilee, we've got Monet, she's out of prison, Nightcrawler, Beast. There was a load of discussion I saw online about how Rogue was pregnant or something. They mention a baby, right? Like, oh, we've got to keep the baby safe. That is not, I need to clear this up, right? It's not Rogue's baby. Rogue is not pregnant. I know there's some Rogue fans out there that want Rogue to have a baby. She's not pregnant. It's actually Temper. Temper or Oya, IDA, I can't quote. She's pregnant and Ransom is the father. So the one in the blue and the red, and then the one in the dark blue. That's their baby. So not Rogues, okay? But basically we see that time passes on. Gambit suddenly ages like 50 years in 3 years, and he goes blind as well. That's the other thing. And we've got some of these X-Men characters, well, younger mutants hanging around. Um, so we've got Temper, who's originally in the X-Men team. We've got Ransom, who's always been part of this team. We've got Spider-Girl, who's like 12 or 13 or 14 in the main universe at the moment. She's a mutant too. I don't know much about her other than that I think her power is to like mimic other people's powers, but she first mimicked a spider person or something like that, and so that's why she's Spider Girl. We've also got Dome, who's actually the daughter of the Saint Juniors who own the house in the present, and she's grown up and she's a mutant and she can essentially create force fields. So yeah, so they're all living there, but Gambit is super depressed because his wife is dead. And Louis said, "Where is my rogue skin for Galactica in Marvel Rivals?" Well, you never know. Imagine if we got I mean, I think Rogue and Gambit are going to be the next people in Marvel Rivals. So hopefully she'll get some she'll get some cool skins when she comes. Fingers crossed. So yeah, anyway, Gambit's depressed. And then basically Galactus's body is like in Atlantis, just like chilling there. Obviously he's dead, but he might not be dead. It's not really clear. It looks like he wakes up, but I don't know. And then because there's that not evil spirit, the guardian spirit that's holding all these um spirits underground, she like wakes up. I can't remember the name. It's like Shib Shabrakra, something like that. And I should have done my research really. I should have reread things more clearly. But anyway, and basically she then sends a bunch of like undead people after them, and then they fight them off, and Gambit explodes them all, and then he cries by Rogue's grave. And that's the end of the issue. It doesn't really set up much of what's going on next, other than they'll have to go and visit this evil spirit that's under the ground. Um, and that they also apparently are going to be fighting with Namor and Atlantis, just judging off like the covers and stuff that have been discussed. So that's there to look at. But yeah, so that's pretty much the issue. So basically, Rogue dies, Gambit is sad. They have to fight some evil dead people because an evil spirit is rising up from the ground. And that's pretty much it. I thought it was a fun issue. You know, I think Lucas Wernick, he's doing great work. So I gotta give him his tens. And it's also actually quite fun to see the like younger mutants all grown up as adults. So you know, I'm glad to see Temper here. Also like when the X-Men book sort of intermingle. So the fact that Temper is here instead of in the X-Men book, that's cool. So yeah, I'm still interested in what's going to be happening next. Again, I'm not too sure what's happening next, but we'll see. Lou, you put it beautifully. Beautiful gowns. That's how I would describe this book. Yes, Lucas Wernick makes any story 100 times better. But you know what? I enjoyed it. I don't think I, I feel like it's stronger than some of the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men stories I've read from Gail Simone. So you know that's something, and I'll be tuning into issue 2, obviously for this. So yeah, that's Unbreakable X-Men then. So yeah, that's that one. Has anyone got any thoughts, opinions? Lou, have you got any other thoughts about the book from what you've seen on the page, or anyone else? If anyone else is there, got any thoughts or opinions? If you do, let me know. If you don't, no worries. Yeah, right. So, if you've got any questions, share them now. But I'm going to go on to the next one, which is Rogue Storm. Okay, this Rogue Storm is by Mureo Aodeli with art by Roland Boshi. So, oh, I can see your comment there. So I could have set up more in my opinion. I agree. It just felt a bit, I don't know. I just don't really know what the story's going to be, to be fair. So we'll see. We'll see though. Anyway, okay. So on to Rogue Storm by, as I said, Murewa Odeni with Roland Boshi on art. Now, obviously, Murewa has been the writer for Storm since the new series began. We've got 12 issues of this, so it's obviously continuing that on, which I appreciate. But you might be seeing this and go, wait, but Rogue's on the cover, but Rogue's dead. And to that I'd be like, well, yes, but there's some intricacies with this. Okay, so as we get into the book, you see this is 5 years, 5 years into into the Age of Revelation. Okay, so not the full 10. This is halfway point. Basically, the rest of the world is kind of in ruins. Brazil is on fire. Thor's hammer is in space. I didn't include it in the panels, but the Amazon is on fire, and the Sahara Desert is iced over. Now, who did that? Why did that happen? Well, it's Storm, who is not very happy. She, as it says here, has been driven mad. Now, why has she been driven mad? We don't really get a clear. It doesn't really tell us. Not that. Well, what I read, it didn't really give us a clear view there. But I'm going to assume it's more because in the present, she'd been possessed by Eternity, and then Eternity was like, "Oh, don't be sad. You're going to have a baby in the future." And obviously, clearly, this baby did not happen. You know, so maybe that's part of why there's apparently something about dark magic. Maybe she got herself caught up in a scam like that. You know. But yeah. Anyway, so she's not not very happy. She's doing some bad things to climate change. You know, climate change is bad, everyone. If you needed any more reason to know that, then it's the fact that, you know, it's snowing in the Sahara Desert. And the Amazon rainforest is on fire, which is never good. But essentially, because Storm is threatening to put the world into a new ice age, then you know, it's Rogue is like, you know what, we've gotta sort that out. You know, we can't be having this. We gotta do what we can for our friend. And so here, going back to the 80s and 90s, powerful lady driven crazy with power. Yeah, this could be Storm's Dark Phoenix. Not that I'd say that this is incomparable in any way, because obviously this is only 3 issues. There's a lot more set up with that, but it's like that, or like Wonder with the No More Mutants. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But essentially, Rogue's like, look, Storm is my friend. She wouldn't really want to be doing this, so I'm gonna set up a new X-Force to stop her. And so we have this team here that she set up. So we've got Rogue. Again, I know she's dead in. I know she's dead in like Unbreakable X-Men, but we'll get to why there's Rogue here as well. We'll get to that. There's also Iceman. There's Spiral, though not actually Spiral. She was solicited as being Spiral, but in the book, she's someone else. We'll get to that. Clearly, just a clash with long shots. There's Warpath, Phantom X, and Gateway. Interesting team, I think, I'd say. You know, Iceman, I guess him and Storm have similar powers. Spiral, I guess the magic they were working on Uncanny X together. Warpath, it's an interesting team, and I think it's fun. So yeah, basically they come here, they come to Storm's base in the Sahara at 5 years on, and they fight. They try and stop Storm. The Spiral character is called Akujin. She's got 6 arms and swords, so she was supposed to be Spiral, I think, but they had to change it. You see Iceman here, as a giant. No, that's not Iceman. So she's using her the alien kaijus that are powering the Storm Sanctuary. I don't know what's happened to this. What's happened to the Storm Sanctuary in the Age of Revelation? I don't know, but they're now her guards, and so they all fight. Um, and yeah, there's just things there like Iceman getting big, crazy. Rogue is jumping around and doing things, and I will say, I appreciate here. I don't think it's mentioned on this page. Oh, it does. Yes. So Warpath, way back in 2007. It was like Uncanny X-Men 492 or something like that. Storm and Warpath were on the same team, and Storm gave Jimmy some vibranium knives, which he uses, and he mentions that here. She says, "Your mother gave me these vibranium knives." So I appreciate, you know, Mario really is like a comics fan in terms of like he knows the lore. So, you know, I always appreciate that. Just looking at the comments here. Who was it that said Rogue was Storm's best friend, best girlfriend instead of Jean? That would be Muriel O'Delly, the writer of this book. He said that Storm was Rogue's best friend. She was really grasping at straws, I fear. Yeah, yeah. But reading the book, it makes more sense because I agree. I disagree that Rogue is best. They're very bonded together. You know, in the comics, Storm got in the way of the depowering gun for Rogue. You know, they were on the Storm was basically the leader for the entire time Rogue was there up until the 90s, right? I'm sure they're very close, but best friends, I would personally say Jean or Betsy, like Psylocke or Captain Britain. Like I feel like they were closer, but it is what it is. So yeah, basically, so if I go back, so why is Rogue alive here? Why is she in this red outfit, or as she's referred to, Rogue Red? Basically, we find out that 2 years into the Age of Revelation, so 2027, I guess, um, um, we find out that the Rogue is for some reason goes to the Collector. I don't know, was to rescue someone. I can't really remember. But what the collector does for some reason is duplicate Rogue. So now there's two versions of Rogue. There's and this is what Murewa has put in the comic: Rogue Green, which is the normal Rogue, the one you see in Unbreakable X-Men, and then Rogue Red, which is the Rogue in this book. The interesting thing here is that Rogue Red, the copy, does not have any of Rogue's powers. She has all of her memories and she is Rogue, but she doesn't have, any super strength or absorption abilities. She's literally just a normal human, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so that's such a crazy. Clearly, I think obviously, Gail Simone wanted to use Rogue in her book and kill her off, but Muewa wanted to use Rogue in this book, and so he came up with this crazy, very comic booky twist so that he could have his cake and eat it. So basically, there's this version of Rogue, but the thing is that Gambit, because both Rogues have the same memories, both Rogues love Gambit, but Gambit, for some reason, only chose Rogue Green, like the original and not the copy, which is kind of crazy, because I feel like not to speak too much on Gambit, but I feel like he'd be up for like a Mickey 17 situation, Mickey 17, Mickey 18, Rogue Green, Rogue Red, two wives. I'm sure he'd be loving life. So the fact he like ignores her, like so that means Rogue Red is like so heartbroken because she's just the copy, no one cares about her. And so um Storm becomes the great but just supports her. He's just there for, I guess, gets her drunk and looks after her. And she does say, I don't think I got the, I didn't get the page. No, I didn't get the page. But she does say she helps train with this Rogue Red. Um, she does say like, oh, you're my best friend. So clearly, in the time after she becomes the clone, Rogue and Storm become really close, and that's why Mireille refers to Rogue as Storm's best friend. Again, I don't think that's the case in the main continuity, but I suppose this Rogue Red needed some help, and Storm's there for her, which is great, I guess. Um, so yeah, obviously Storm goes crazy and decides to fight Storm, but it doesn't go well. I think Gateway gets murdered. Um, not that good. And then at the end, we see this bit at the end is 10 years into the future. So clearly, whatever Rogan, the Uncanny X-Force were trying to do, didn't work because Storm is still alive and she's very mad. So I think, and it's not the one thing I would say about this book. I think the art is really cool. It's definitely different. It's a The book is a bit confusing in just terms of timelines and everything. Like, why is the fight with the Uncanny X-Force thing in 5 years in, but the cloning is at 2 years in, but then this bit is at 10 years in? So like, it's just not the clearest story. Like, I am pretty sure because it says in the bit before that this is X years into the future. So this bit at the end is in the sort of present of the future. The main thrust of everything is happening 10 years into the future, but it's like not the clearest. I'm sure um, we'll get some more things on it in issue 2, but yeah. So that's pretty much it. Storm is mad. She's This outfit, by the way, is called Primal Storm. So Primal Storm is very mad and is looking for vengeance, I guess, and she's killing people. Yay! Well, I'm just gonna look at some of the comments. I remember him asking on Twitter for specific storms moments like causing earthquakes and such. He really knows his stuff. Yeah, that's one thing I'll always give Mirewa is that he cares about like the law and making sure it all fits, and it's something I appreciate. Obviously, I don't think everyone needs to know exactly everything, but when you've got those little things that you can just mention, not making comics about comics, but like just offhand references to things that have happened. So like the vibranium knives, it's just like a little something that you don't need to know, but for those that do, it's like Um. So yeah. Campaigning for Red Rogue's name to be Rouge. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just misspell rogue as a rouge anyway, so that makes things easy, right? Sync X Talon versus Wolverine in a less interesting way. Yeah, yeah, because there's a thing about Sync and Talon. I mean, I didn't like Sync and Talon. We can't get into the Talon of it all, but I didn't really care for Talon. Didn't care for her. Thought she could have been she should have been a traitor. She should have been a traitor and just yeah. But she wasn't. She was just the original Laura Kinney that was old and loved Sync, which fair enough. But this one I find, at least with that one, one of them has memories of growing old with Sync, and the other one doesn't. But this one, they both have the memories of loving loving Gambit. So it's just yeah. But it's just that this rogue doesn't have any powers. And I will say as well, going back, how was Rogue doing any of this? Like at the bottom where she was leaping and punching and boosting, like if you've got no powers, just I think it's just a bit crazy that she's the leader of this team and she's absolutely powerless. I mean, nothing against people without powers. Storm did amazing without powers for a few years. She led the X-Men. So maybe that's what? Maybe that's a reference to that. Okay, Mireille, I see what you're doing. I'm on your wavelength now. Now I'm thinking about it. Okay, it's probably a reference to like Storm being powerless. But yeah. It doesn't work the way it does in Powers of 10. No, that's a lot more, even though that is confusing, it's a lot clearer in terms of going back and forth. But this one just, it's a bit, I don't want to say all over the place, but it's just like, okay, so this is happening here and this is happening here, but it doesn't, but I don't know, it's just not as clear to me, unfortunately. But I'm still interested. I think it's fun to be having this sort of thing. But again, as well, it's it's also like why the one thing I'll say about Storm as a whole, including the first series and this, is that it's not a lot from Storm's perspective. It's a Storm book, but it's always from the omniscient narrator, or from the perspective of the rogue. Like we don't get a lot of Storm interiority, if that makes sense. Which is something I'd want. Maybe in her next solo in February we'll be getting more of that, but we'll see. But you know what? I enjoyed this. Definitely interesting, and I think Rogue Red and Rogue Green is so stupid, but like it's comic booky stupid. So so there you go. I didn't like Sinking either. It's fine. Yeah, I just thought Sinking was just girl, stop caring about this old lady. I just don't. Just like I felt like I feel like Talon was wasted. I was happy. I celebrated when she died. Not gonna lie. And then she sucked some. She snuck some super soldier serum. Maybe she did, but spoilers: Captain America's dead in this universe at the point. Maybe she, but she didn't. She can't absorb it either. Many thoughts. But yeah, so that's Rogue Storm number one. Anyone got any other thoughts about Rogue Storm before I move on to the next one? Um, yeah, let me know, and I will get the next one set up. But yeah, have a drink because I'm talking, and also let me know if I'm talking a bit too fast. I realize sometimes I'm like just like word diarrhea. Right. Okay. Next book we're on is Iron and Frost, which is about, you guessed it, drumroll please, Iron Man and Emma Frost. Whoa, whoa, big surprise, big surprise. But this book is by Cavan Scott, who I don't think I've not read anything by before. And then with art by Ruairi Coleman. And I'm just looking at the comments here. I still think I like Storm on a team more than Solo. I don't know. I agree. I agree. I mean, like, no, I've enjoyed the solo. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that Storm's had a solo, but like, give me Storm leader. Give me leader Storm. You know, X-Men Red. Oh, oh, oh. Like, what a good, what a good book. Like, it had Storm being the leader, but like, and it was Storm's story, but like, ah, just so good. Oh, just do you remember those days? Do you remember those days? Oh, makes me sad. Anyway, anyway, and though I sound good, that's good. Brilliant. Okay, so Iron and Frost by Kevin Scott and Rory Coleman. Um, anyone here a fan of the Iron Man Tony, the Tony Stark Emma Frost wedding and like the relationship? I guess to preface, I go back and forth, right? Originally, when it was first teased way back in 2021, I was like, no, this is sick. This is sick. Um, how could they? You know, I always think back to Emma Frost's line in Civil War, the one good thing that Mark Miller probably ever wrote, where she goes, "Where were you at when our babies were burning in Genosha?" Like, oh, such an iconic moment, right? That's all I think about originally when it came to Tony and Emma. And then they had the whole wedding, and it was like, oh my God. Um, and then obviously it turned out that the wedding was more fake. Like it was a fake wedding because of finances and stuff. Well, they literally got married in like Las Vegas. Like, but then they sort of did have a bit of a connection, which is like happens, I suppose. You know, I think that's a fun little trope. Oh, we're fake married, but we really fell in love. You know, sort of thing. So it kind of grew on me, but you know, I wasn't disappointed when it ended. So, you know, I'm not like opposed to it, but I just don't. It doesn't hit the same as like Scott and Emma. You know, like I don't want them to be like they're not. I don't think it even hits in the same way as like Black Panther and um as like Storm. I can see here, boy. Your question is not your question. Your comment is them together works if they are to be with anyone, but like. I like it more like a business relationship than a true lovey-dovey, even if there's like that. I agree. It's more like a business relationship with a bit of flirting on the side, a bit of a bit of a fake married, but we're having fun with it. Exactly. It's it's to a similar level for me with like Logan and Storm, but okay, okay. I don't know how other people feel, but I'm not a Storm and Logan shipper. Like I don't think they should get married and have kids and whatnot. But like I'm all for like oh you know we've known each other for like 50 years. You know we've been through it all together. Let's just you know have some good times together, you know. When they were together in like 2014, it was like a bit more casual things. Like I don't mind a little casual tete-a-tete, you know? I think that's how I feel about Emma and Tony. But anyway, that aside, we'll get to this book. So we see 6 years ago. So this must mean in year 4 of Age of Revelation. Now, as we're going through this, I keep thinking I might, after all of Age of Revelation is done, is do like a video that's like the timeline of Age of Revelation where I literally go through everything and put it in order. Because all these different 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, like and just put it into like, okay, so 0. This happened then. This happened then. Blah blah blah. But anyway, so as we see, 6 years ago, Tony and Emma and Firestar and War Machine, they're fighting some of the Seraphim of Revelation, um, and so we've got those four, but they're fighting Marrow, obviously, former X-Man, has bones growing out of her body. Sometimes she's cute, sometimes she's ugly. I'm not meaning that in a nice way, but like in a bad way. I'm just like that's literally it. She used to be ugly and then she went hot, and then she's in between. We've also got Unashone, who was an acolyte, and we've got Phaser, who I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of before. I probably should have looked that up before we started streaming. But okay, so yeah, they're all fighting. It's fun to see Firestar and Emma together. You know, um, ever since the whole like, ever since the whole of in Krakoa where Firestar was like the fake trait was the fake traitor for the X-Men, where she was with Orcus, but it was all fake. Like she's grown on me, okay, and I kind of like that Emma and Firestar work together. Anyway, they're fighting because these and all these Seraphim are like a bit crazy. They're like mutants rule, humans suck. Um, and I didn't realize this was the next page. But basically, there's this kid here who's like a mutant, and her mum's there as well. And because of the X virus, so I forgot to mention it in the beginning, but part of the Age of Revelation is that there was an X virus that was released that spread across half of America. That like turns humans into mutants, and if you don't turn into a mutant, then you die, right? So there's this mutant child, and she's with her mum, and her mum's got a gas mask on, and the the uh the seraphim are trying to take the child, and then the mother's gas mask gets broken and she dies. So that's all sad. And then for some reason, Marrow is trying to kill the child, so Emma decides to get in front of her, but instead of turning into Diamond, like she just doesn't, so she gets stabbed in the heart. Okay, so Emma's gonna die. Um, but she doesn't because she's fall and also at the same time the Avengers mansion like falls into the ground, so she falls into a giant sinkhole as she's being stabbed with her heart with a giant bone, and she turns into Diamond, pardon me, as it happens. So yeah, and obviously when she's in Diamond, she doesn't need to breathe or eat or age, so she's sort of there, and she gets crushed by the rubble. Okay, just going back to the comments. Slightly off topic, but do you think Jean should be allowed to have other romances the way Scott has, like with Emma, instead of only ever being with him? Yes. I don't know who though, because I don't care for Jean and Logan. Like, I don't care for Jean and Logan. But I don't know who else. Like, her and Angel. Mm, I mean, I'm thinking. I'm like the only. I remember one time in an alternate reality, her and Bishop got together, which is so crazy. It's just so random, but like, sure, why not? So maybe more random things like that. Um, yeah, I don't know, but I agree. I think she should have more romances, but I mean, to be fair, they're basically not together at the moment because she's in space and he's on Earth, and like they see each other every 12 months or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, they're gonna pass Wolverine around more than he already is. Well, pass around. Yeah, bet he loves being passed around. He's like 200 years old. It's like it's second nature to him now, you know? He is community. He's just he's for the community, you know? Right. Um so yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, so Emma fell into the thing, but it turns out she didn't die. She survived, and she's in this cool new outfit. This cool new outfit. With the black. So this is very much it's giving her Hellfire Gala 2023, which I do like, but in black, and she's got this massive hole in her chest where the heart where her heart used to be. So I think that's a cool design. And basically what happens is she must have escaped, and she goes. So time has gone on, and she has decided, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go back to New York, which has now been like completely transformed because of the X virus. And then she goes down the hole, and the Avengers Mansion has been turned into the Hellfire Club, and Iron Man is here, and he is the Iron King of the Hellfire Club because the X virus has transformed him into actual iron, which is I guess ironic. He's kind of giving he's giving Doctor Doom in the 2005 Fantastic Four film, where he's like metal underneath his body, which didn't make sense, but you know, that's what it's kind of giving to me. And that's where it ends. We also see that that one kid that they were trying to arrest, that Emma stood in the way of, is still here, and she's got like this earth manipulating ability, so she's still around. And yeah, that's it. So, what do I think about this book? It was fun. I think the whole concept of like, oh, Emma's had her heart stabbed, like she's missing her heart, but she's still alive in dome form. That's cool. That's like a cool design element, but it also doesn't make much sense. Doesn't make much sense in terms of like Emma would have just transformed into diamond beforehand. Like there's literally that panel from Avengers Inhumans versus X-Men Zero. That's now a Marvel Rivals MVP where she is timing herself on transforming into Diamond at the very last second. And you mean to tell me that she let Marrow stab her through the chest? I don't know. It's a bit ridiculous with that. But yeah, so there's that. I wasn't the biggest fan of like just the way that the the Seraphim were being portrayed here as like literal just lunatics. Like, oh my god, now mutants like oh because you know Revelations is evil, all the mutants are evil. Like I just like because they were happy that this mother died, and then they were wanting to kill the mutant as well anyway. Like it just felt a bit just a bit overboard. Like okay, we get it, they're evil mutants, but like it just felt a bit too much. Also, R.I.P. to Marrow, she gets crushed, and Unashane gets killed as well. So R.I.P. to those 90s queens. Um, I only like Jean Logan when Scott is also there in a therapy situation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a very yeah. No, I agree. But like they're actually in a throuple and not in a love triangle. Real Iron King Mutant Virus. This is so straight boy comics. You said it, not me. I don't know. Are there any straight people in the audience tonight? If you are, please tell me if this is right up your alley. But you know, so again, didn't I'm not wowed. I like some ideas of this. I'll see what happens in the second issue. Obviously, even though it's Iron and Frost, it's not very much on their relationship yet. I'm sure we'll see more of that in the second issue. But yeah, so that's Iron and Frost for you. Emma's missing her heart. Iron Man is a mutant now, and yeah. And there's a giant sinkhole where Avengers Mansion used to be. So yeah, there's that one. And Lou, you're right. Just absolute silence, which is so funny. Um, it's crickets. Emma looks neat though. Yes, that's what I will say. I will give tens with this outfit. Like, yes, when I redo on TikTok, when I eventually redo my Emma Frost look ranking, this will be quite good. You know, I'm not what okay, question to the audience. How do we feel about Emma in black? Is this a yay? Is this a nay? Are we like do we prefer Emma in white or black? Because she is the White Queen after all, let's not like but I think the black has its time and place, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. But I'm curious what other people think. Are we a yay? Are we a nay? Like yeah, let me know. Because I think when she was the Black King, when she took over, when she killed Sebastian Shaw and took over, that was fun. Her revolution, her Cyclops revolution outfit was also okay. But yeah, I don't like that mutant genius spread rule. That doesn't really work. I know I don't get the science behind it, but obviously it's been set up sort of in the book in the X-Men because there's the two new mutants in that book. Ben Liu, who can like manipulate reality or something like that, or like create illusions. Something he made it seem like aliens were um, invading San Francisco, and then we've got Jen Starkey, who's like the bird lady who can also be a lizard, and they were both transformed by 3K, who was being blamed for the X virus. But that's not. There's more to that, which we'll get to in the next book. But yeah, so it's a bit odd. I don't really know how it works. But yeah, so that's why there's a lot more mutants, and there's a book that's not next week, well, week 6, so which is X-Vengers, because half of the Avengers are also mutants now because of the X virus. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Also, Spider-Man is a mutant too. So, but yeah, it always looks good, but it shouldn't be a common occurrence. I prefer in white, but it's nice to pull the black out for the right moment. So yeah, we're all pretty much in agreement. It's a nice little spice up for the right moment, and I think, I guess she got stabbed in the heart. She's fully in her diamond form. I think it kind of fits. Wouldn't that make them a mutate? The concept of mutants is meant to be a minority metaphor. You can't just become a minority. You know what? Well, you should just tell that to Marvel. You should just tell that to Marvel. Now, I agree, but I think how they have done it is that it's like they literally are developing the X gene, and like the other thing as well is that apparently the land has mutated as well, so it's become like a version of Krakoa in a sense, and like Cypher, who is Revelation now, used his voice because Revelation has this like ability where he's like the Bene Gesserit from Dune, right? Where they just go, you pick up that knife, and they do it in a voice, and then they listen, right? Like Revelation can do that as well, but he can also do that to the land itself. So he was like telling the land, like, grow food for everyone, make houses for everyone. So the fact that the land as well has become a mutant, and then apparently the land is also toxic to humans. So if you're not a mutant, you can't even be on the land because you'll just die. Like the water and the air, like it's all mutated. So it's all just like Cocoa 2.0, but like deadly, I guess. I don't really know the ins and outs. It's you're just gonna suspend your disbelief for this, I think. But yeah, so that's everything with Iron Frost, and then this means that we're on to the final book already. It feels like I just started like 2 minutes ago, but I realize it's been like 50, like 45 minutes, which is crazy. Um, how time flies when you're having fun. I hope everyone's having fun as well. Um, if you aren't, let me know. But yeah, so the last book, okay, is Sinister Six by David Marquez, who, fun fact, if you recognize that name, it's because he is actually the artist of Uncanny X-Men, and has um he is actually he's the artist of Uncanny X-Men, and he drew this cover. So yeah, and the thing about David Marquez is I've been a fan of him since I think the first time I saw his art was like All New X-Men issue 6, and I read that way back in like 2014, 2015, and I've been obsessed ever since. So the fact that he's writing this was crazy. Never read any of his written work before, his like writer stuff before, but here we are. And then it's also drawn by Rafael Luero. And so this, as you can tell, is about Mr. Sinister, and he has a team. Um, I guess you could argue that this is a bit like Hellions from Krakoa, but like 2.0. And so, because I didn't make a photo of all the people, they're all on this cover though. So Sinister's new team is Havoc, Domino, on the trying to figure out the Domino. Lady Phantom X. This Phantom X was like separated from the main Phantom X, like because Phantom X had 3 brains. So like one brain is boy Phantom X, the other one's this Phantom X, and the other one's the other Phantom X. And fun fact about this Phantom X, that this is the one that Betsy Braddock at the time Sherlock fell in love with for a bit. So this was way back in like 2014, and this Phantom X is the reason why Betsy is confirmed bisexual. So from bit of lore. There's also Omega Red. Venom's involved in this book, and there's also Black Cat. Now, originally I thought this was Hepzibah, as in Cyclops's stepmom, but it's actually Black Cat, and she's been turned into a mutant as well. Shocker. So yeah, and essentially, oh, I'm on the wrong thing. No, there we go. So essentially, we're in New York, in the upstate New. I don't know why, if we're in like upstate New York, which is now contaminated by the X-virus, why Misty and Colleen Wing are here if they're not mutants? Because as I've explained, I thought anywhere that was X-virus rated was like contagious to mutants. So unless they are mutants, but they don't look different. Anyway, so Misty Knight and Colleen Wing are here, and then they get ambushed by Sinister Six. So you have Black Cat, who hunts them down. We've also got as I said, a Mega Red. We've got Domino here, who's also blue. So I don't know if she's, because she's kind of giving her, when there was that one book, the Sins of Sinister event, which was very much like that this event copied that, but in that there was a Nightcrawler Domino Chimera, so she kind of gives that. But anyway, they all are fighting them, and we've got Lady Phantom X as well, and they are all here because they want to track down Venom. So yeah, Venom's there, and what do you say here? This book P-worded me off at first because they picked Black Cat when Hepzibah was right there. But if they're mutating people, it's fine, I guess. Yeah, I would have loved Hepzibah because it's kind of crazy that Hepzibah has been an official X-Man. Like, if you're going on any like every X-Man ever, she has been an official X-Man. She was stranded on Earth after the whole Emperor Vulcan thing, and she's not been around as much anymore. Like, she's just a bit of fun. Like, why isn't she here? Why? Like, she could be here. Like, we literally had a duplicate rogues. Like, Hepzibah could have been in this book, right? But anyway, so Venom turns up. They capture Venom, go back to Sinister's lair, which is in the Appalachian Mountains. Which is that Kentucky? Like, I don't know my geography, but I think that's like Kentucky area, because I swear, I'm just gonna be sound crazy, but like, isn't Katniss from the Hunger Games? Isn't Katniss like from that area, and like the Appalachian Mountains, and not like, isn't that sort of area? I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, so they go back to Sinister's base, and Havoc is the team leader of this book. So it is very like Hellions 2.0. Turns out he's got a son. Don't know the name of this son. I don't think we know the name of the son. He just goes, "Hey there, bird." Um, so unless I missed it when I was rereading, I don't think we got a name. Who is the mother? Who is the mother? I want to hear your guesses, everyone. Now, the last time Havoc had a child, he had a child with Wasp called Katie Summers. But then that was in an alternate future, and then Kang did some time travel stuff, and then the child never existed because the timeline never existed, and he was holding it over them, like, and then Havoc went evil. It's a long story. But who is the mother of this child? Is it Madeline Pryor? Because they did have a son, they did have a child together in a different universe called Mutant X, called Scotty. So maybe this is that. No, I don't think it is. But wouldn't that be cool? Sorry, I'm just spitballing here. So if you have any suggestions on who the mother of Havoc's child would be, let me know. I'm trying to think who else has he got from, unless it's Polaris. But I feel like Polaris would have the green hair would have transferred. If it is Polaris, I'm gonna be annoyed. I feel like that's too easy. That maybe I'd want I'm happy to. you know. But oh wait, but then there's Nanny there. Nanny the robot, which Magneto created way back in the like 70s. Oh, it's gonna be Polaris, isn't it? I'm calling it. I'm calling it. I'm sure we'll find out with issue 2. So just for the records, my final guess is Polaris. Venom, what is this book? No, I don't know. No, I do know. It's Sinister Six. That's what this book is. And he is both parents. Yes, asexual reproduction. But yeah, so he's got his son. Sinister's got his son locked up, obviously as like a threat. Um, they've captured Venom, and I think Sinister's doing some tests on Venom because he's resistant to like the X virus. Um, so he's trying to figure out like a cure or like an antidote to the X virus. Well, you said my first thought was Polaris, but if it was hers, I feel like they'd have made it more obvious. I agree. Like, I don't know, I just feel like the blonde hair is just too, it's too vague. Like, I feel like, yeah. The only thing that makes me think there's two things that make me think it's Polaris. And one is that well, it's Havoc and Polaris. They're like, they're like Rogue and Gambit in which they're often paired together. But two is that it's Nanny in the background. Like Nanny is the child's nanny, and Nanny was created by Magneto, so I guess it's like a thing like that. But we'll see. I'm gonna say Polaris, but I would be okay if it was Madeline Pryor. That would be quite fun. Obviously, she's probably appearing in not Phoenix, sorry, Binary with Carol Danvers. So who knows how this has happened. But then I guess it would make sense if it was Maddie's as well, because obviously Sinister, made Maddie, and so maybe he'd want a child. But like, I feel like that'd just be too complicated as well. And I feel like if Madeline Pryor is so it's it's I just saw your comment. It's Dazzler. That's why they locked her up. That's we can't even talk about. We can't even talk about. We can't even get into that because unrelated. But have you seen that there's a Lunar Snow book coming out? It's called Lunar Snow World Tour. And you know when her world tour is coming out? When Dazzler is in prison. What is this? Ah, don't even get me started. This is not even relevant to the book. But I wonder what's happened to Dazzler. I don't know if we're gonna see her in this like era, because obviously last we saw she was in prison, and as I discussed in the last live stream, I was discussing Amazing X-Men, where we find out that the prison was destroyed, and the warden was like strung up and left to die. But there was also a bunch of like dead mutants, spirits were haunting there because they were all tortured and killed. So I'm like, oh my god, what if they just killed off Dazzler? That'd be so sad. Like, Dazzler, your bones. Ugh. She would be, but she could have had such a fun, like, at least in Age of Apocalypse, she had a fun little like twist where she was dating Exodus of all people and like chain smoking. Like, just be more like she was cool then, like she's a flop now, but like she was cool in the 90s, like in the Age of Apocalypse anyway. Like, why couldn't we have had that? Anyway, you got me, you got me, you got me off. You got me sidetracked. So then Sinister's like, basically revelation. Okay, so this is sort of the main reveal that was sort of teased in Amazing X-Men. Well, no, sort of not Age of Revelation Overture. Basically, that Revelation created the X virus, not 3K. So Revelation did it obviously to take over the world, which he's done, and so basically Sinister wants to undo that, and he's going to use his Sinister Six to try and stop them. Will it go to plan though? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that some people are going to die, but we'll see. So yeah, that's that. That's Sinister Six for you. Now, what I will say about this book, I was a bit hesitant at first, but I actually think David Marquez, as I said, I've not read any of his written work, but the fact that, and I'm not saying you can't both be a writer and an artist, but like, I was just a bit hesitant, but I actually think he did I would say he did solid work with this. and it wasn't a perfect issue. I think there was a bit too much like captioning narration at times, but like it's a solid story, interesting mix of characters. I wish Hepzibah was there, but I think I'm intrigued. They got me intrigued. So yeah, there's that. Lovejoy and Exterminator's Comeback Diva. I know, I miss Dazzler because yeah. The thing is, Dazzler's just had it so rough because what do you mean that after her solo, where it turned out an incel multiple man was the one sabotaging her world tour, she then does the Concert of Champions with the whole concert thing, and it turns out as well she broke up with her boyfriend. Plus, she's balding. I didn't mention it in any of the videos. I completely forgot, but she's balding. Like she's losing her hair and she has to wear wigs. Like like she's just, and then she got arrested. Like she can't. She's not winning. She's losing. Oh, but yeah. So, boy, what do you say? I could care less about the majority of the characters, but it's got something there. Yeah. Like, is it up to the standard of Hellions from Cocoa? No. I don't know if anything will be, but I appreciate it for what it is, and I got some enjoyment out of it. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. Yeah. So that's all 4 books. So now comes the time of my ranking. Okay, so I'm just going to rank the 4 books in terms of what I enjoyed the most, what I enjoyed the least, and I'm going to be honest. This is actually a tough week in terms of ranking. I think it was easier to rank last week's books. No shade, or all shade. Like none of them are like a clear winner for me. Also, if you want to put your ranking of the 4 books in the chat, let me know. Yeah, put them in there and I can compare. But like, I don't know what to put at number 1. Trying to think, right? But I also don't really know what to put last either. Like they're all just very similar quality, which is both a good thing and like thing, Like, but this is no shade on all of them. Like, none of them I hated. Okay, in last place. Okay, in last place goes, drumroll please, Iron, Iron and Frost. Iron and Frost. You go into last place. Oh my gosh, Iron and Frost. Okay, this goes into last place just because it felt, I guess, just because it interested me the least. Like, I think an interesting concept there with like the whole Emma being heartless thing, even Iron Man being Iron, I guess. But then like I didn't while I enjoyed seeing some other more minor characters be involved, I didn't really like their portrayal, and like I just not a lot happened, you know? Like it was already teased in the solicits. Oh, Emma Frost, who's now a Heartless Queen, has to go to New York, and she meets up with the Iron King. Like this issue could have been an email, I guess, in that sense. So yeah, but I think the art was fun, and I like the Emma Frost design. So yeah, Iron and Frost in last place. Next. Oh, this is actually tough. Can I just do a joint? I'm gonna just do a joint. No, I can't. Ooh, I'm gonna just. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, this is so tough. I, right. I suppose the next 3, all these 3 here are like very close. Like they could be interchangeable, but it's. Mm, I actually don't know because I'm thinking of each of them. I'm thinking each of them, and I'm like, that these are the positives, but then these are the negatives. I'm like, is this negative worse than this? Oh, I'm just gonna have to pick, aren't I? I should have tried and thought beforehand, but no. Ah, but that's too rad. Oh, okay. I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna say, at this present moment, and it could change in any second. I think I might have to, in third, I might have to put Rogue Storm. Oh, no, that doesn't feel. No, that doesn't feel right though, does it? No, no. Oh, but no. Okay, right. Hear me out. Oh, the Unbreakable. Do you mean? Do you mean the? Boy, do you mean the first series I talked about as in like Unbreakable X-Men, or as in this book? Or were you here for that? Oh no, you weren't. Okay, so Unbreakable X-Men. I guess just a quick one. It's obviously Galactus comes and then Rogue sacrifices herself, and then Gambit is sad. Um, and then Gambit is sad because she's a statue, and then the the like the evil spirit that lurks beneath the ground called Shirakara has like summoned a bunch of people, zombies. Okay, yeah, you missed Unbreakable. Summoned a bunch of zombies and they attack the thing, and then Galactus might not be dead, but also like Shirakara is like summoning the dead spirits, and they're gonna fight Namor at some point, but it isn't actually mentioned in the book. Like it's just sort of teased a little bit. I don't know, guys. This is so difficult. Right, I said Rogue Storm, but then I'm like, right. Let me go back to Rogue Storm. So maybe I'll just explain my pros and cons with each book. Okay, Rogue Storm. I think Murewa has good quality. No, actually, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. I go okay in third place. Third place is Unbreakable X-Men, I think. I'm gonna just say third place Unbreakable X-Men. Oh my god, this is so tough. Okay, no, third place Unbreakable X-Men, because I think it's stronger than some of the uncanny X-Men stories that Gail has written. Obviously, the art is beautiful. That is doing a lot of the carrying. I think the Rogue Sacrifice. No, no, no. Oh, we're going back round in circles. Oh, I can't do this. No. Okay. Nope. I've decided. Sinister 6. You're in third place. Oh, if only I had like the pyramid table, like the dance moms pyramid table. Sinister 6, you were at the bottom of the pyramid. No, sort of thing. I'm gonna say Sinister 6. I actually think this was probably the most coherent story of them all, but I don't care as much about the characters. Okay? And it's the most coherent of them all in terms of story. It's a very, very simple narrative story. Like I know what's happening and I know what's going to happen. Points for that, okay? But I guess I don't particularly care as much about the characters. And I think that Luero's art was good. It's solid work, okay? But nothing blew me away. Then I'm gonna say Unbreakable. Okay. I've changed it all I found. Okay, then I'm gonna say Unbreakable. I didn't realize this was gonna be so difficult. Unbreakable, I'm gonna put second. I think this is mainly because of Lucas Wennick's art, because let's just wow, let's just wow. I didn't do the one where Rogue is covered in the rain. Oh, that was such a good. But even here, like Rogue looks so good. Yeah, like the art is just. I'm gonna miss Lucas on Storm so bad. But I'm gonna put this a second because the art was good. I think this is an improvement on Uncanny X-Men. But I don't. It felt very much like a one and done story. Still a bit confused about why Galactus was there, or it didn't really set up issue 2 and 3 for me. Like I know just because I've read the solicitors and I've seen the thing, they're going to be fighting with Namor at some point. But is this really set up here? No. I mean, it does carry on the storyline from the Uncanny X-Men book of like the whole underground spirit thing. But yeah, so this goes in second place. And then at the top of the pyramid goes Rogue Storm. Now this was tough. This was tough because I'm gonna give it to this one just because I think the Uncanny X-Force team of oh, the Uncanny X-Force team of these lot is super interesting. Who Rogue is always one. What I will always give Rogue credit for is for making a cracked team. Like, who would have thought to see you'd see these people in a room together? So I'm gonna give her credit for that, and I think that's super interesting. I think the concept of Storm being hunted down by Rogue in the sort of like, oh, we need to stop her sort of way is interesting. Rogue Red is completely crazy, but look, it's an alternate reality universe, future universe. Do what you want. The art is also really dynamic and different, but as we discussed earlier, it's my number one, but it does have some drawbacks, which is why I kept contemplating and changing, because it did get quite confusing for me in terms of the timeline. Like, is this 5 years, but this is 10 years, but what is what? Like let's have a simple story. Let's have a narrative through line. Um, and also, as you've said, boy, is that sounds like a road, but hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Luke, Luke shouted, "Can?" Well, it says you can. Luke just shouted off screen that he can't hear me. So let me know if you can hear me or not, please, in the chat. Anyone in the chat as well, other than Luke shouting off screen, you can't hear me. Okay, no, you can't. Okay. Anyway, as I was so okay, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. No, I'm joking. Um, I just don't understand. Where was I at? Like, this is more of a rogue book. You're right. This is more of a rogue book than a storm book, which is a downgrade for me. But I think just because it. But yeah, so this is why it's been so tough. I'm gonna put it at number one for now. But honestly, I was almost putting Sinister 6 at number one because I thought this is actually a good narrative this is a good narrative story, right? It's a simple story in terms of these people have been put together by Mr. Sinister and they're gonna fight Revelation. And there's some twists and turns and yeah, it's interesting. And Unbreakable X-Men, yeah, the art was really good. So overall, not a strong week, unfortunately. But they happen, and obviously we'll come back to this in 4 weeks, um, when we'll talk about issue 2 of all these books, and we'll see whether they improve, hopefully. But yeah, so that's my ranking. That is the toughest ranking I've had to do in a long time. Like, I was struggling. Oh my God. Um, but yeah, so let me just go through your comments now, and so. Gonna put that in my number one. So Unbreakable Iron Frost will probably fall off. Rogue Storm because it sounds like a rogue book, and Sinisters. Yeah, that's a good. No, I think I put Iron and Frost last. Yeah, I'm okay with putting Iron and Frost last, but really the difference between 1 and 4 is like minuscule, really, unfortunately. I hated Gale's Rogue. I feel it's going to take a little to make me like her again. Unfortunately, well, I mean, at least Rogue is dead in the main. At least Rogue is dead in the book, in the Unbreakable X-Men, so she doesn't have to. She's not written by Gale at the moment, but obviously, when Age of Revelation is over, she'll Gale is still on Uncanny X-Men, and Uncanny X-Men is still continuing with issue 22. So I think it's gonna be a while. I think it's gonna be a while till we get a different Rogue. I haven't hated her, but I just can't. I hate with a passion the nicknames, and the stupid nicknames they even mention in this Unbreakable X-Men. Like it was even said here. I don't think you can see it, but um, like why is Rogue calling Gambit Rambunctious Boy, and why is he calling her Audacious Sky? Or why is Rogue calling Logan Ground Bear? And why is he calling Rogue Moonbeam? No one says these things. No one says these things. And no one calls Rogue Anna Marie. Who does that? Oh, anyway, but yeah. So this was this week 3. Fortunately, well, we've gone down in quality from the first week. But next week, or the week that's just happened, we have Omega Kids, Radioactive Spider-Man, which I will be covering, even the ones that aren't like X-Men characters, so Radioactive Spider-Man, X-Avengers, Cloak and Dagger, I'll still be talking about them as well. I'll be doing all the books. So wait, so we've got Omega Kids, Radioactive Spider-Man, The Last Wolverine, and X-Men Book of Revelation. We'll hopefully see if they're better. But yeah, so that's all of that done. Has anyone got any final questions or thoughts or opinions on the book or the event as a whole from what I've said today in this video, from what you've heard, from what you've read? Any final thoughts to leave us on this evening? I just want to also say thank you to everyone that's been watching, whether you've watched the whole time or just half the time, or if you just joined right now. Thank you so much for being here. But yeah, any final thoughts? What I will say as well is that mid, to be honest. Well, I did contemplate a while ago doing a video where I ranked every single X-Men event ever, all the way from Mutant Massacre to this, I suppose. And let's just say this is not going to be in the top 5 so far, or the top 10 maybe. No, but we can remain positive, and there's still time to turn it around. We've had 2 weeks of this so far. Well, 3 if you count the original book, and we've still got another 2.5 months to go. And I'll be doing a live stream every single week up until it finishes, like the 20 something of December. So you better all be sticking around. You better all be sticking around and watching every week. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. An interesting week, not the best. Could be better. Hopefully next week will be improved. I'm not too sure when the next live stream will be. I'm thinking it might be Sunday. Might be Sunday where we do last week's books, and then I can do this week's books maybe next Monday or Tuesday, and then we can all be caught up, and then I just have to do one live stream a week. But yeah, so if that's everything, again, thank you so much all for watching. And I guess just get prepared for the next live stream. If you can, read the books. If you can't, just wait and see what I've got to say. We'll go through it all together. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed. Share it with your friends and your family. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well if you haven't already, because then you get notified every time I go live and you don't have to miss any of it. But you can also watch this on the replay because the replay will be there. But yeah. So with that, I'll see you all in the next live stream sometime soon. Bye everyone. Thank you so much.